Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby in New York City. Good morning, Peter Franklin.
Good morning, live from the beautiful streets of New York.
So, a little warmer today, right?
Oh, thank goodness, thank goodness.
It has been cold, and when it's cold, you think about hot chocolate. What's going on in New York City? There is a New York City craze, and it's a hot chocolate craze.
Yeah, and of course it's an expensive craze because New York City is an expensive, crazy place. Some restaurants are charging as much as $14 for a cup of hot chocolate. I guess the philosophy is the more you charge, the more people will buy. But if you put this price aside, it's kind of like quaint that you can just stop in here, there, and everywhere and get some hot chocolate.
And they're kind of these are gourmet versions of the hot chocolate, right?
Yeah, with little cute marshmallows and all of that kind of stuff.
How much do the marshmallows cost?
Oh, probably $100.
Yeah, they're extra. That's all extra. Let's see here. New York City is officially in the thick of winter cold snaps. We're talking about this cold and the snowstorms. It has been a very cold and snowy winter.
Yeah, and, we have a lot of lakes, a lot of ponds. When I was a kid, you could actually go out on the ponds. If there was a sign, you'd stay off it, of course. But we're having a little bit of a trouble that people are doing that now. And although it's been desperately cold, it's not cold enough to go out on the ponds. So they've been having a lot of public service messages about stay off the water. Don't go and do it.
Yeah. What do you think about, I was reading that they are going to be putting a lot of money into the subway system to modernize it with new subway cars. And is it me, or are they using foreign companies to? Yeah,
they're going to use foreign companies, and I find that absolutely amazing that there isn't a company in the United States that knows how to make subway cars. This time they're using a Japanese company. Last time around when they got a lot of cars, they used a Canadian company. It's not that I have anything particularly against the train makers of Canada or the train makers of Japan, but I don't know. I think those jobs ought to stick with Americans.
Yeah.
Must be somebody in your town that makes subway cars.
Well, somebody should jump on it immediately, right?
Yeah.
That'd be big. How about the city has just settled a class action lawsuit alleging that the New York Police Department limits the beard length of Muslim police officers. What's the take on this story?
Well, what they were doing is that if they had a beard, they were asked to leave the police department, and they did leave the police department. And a number of them filed a lawsuit saying that if they needed to wear the beards for religious and traditional purposes, it would be okay. And the courts have now ruled that it's okay for them to have the beards. It's not a big deal, but it's interesting that I think that if you're joining a particular organization and they tell you in the beginning that this is the rules, regulations,
right.
That's where the word uniform comes from, and then to turn around and sue about it is that's not fair play, I don't think.
Peter, are there any Hasidic police officers?
Yes.
And do they have any restrictions?
No, because now they're not going to have any restrictions if they had any. But they weren't very vocal about it. And I guess they were used as undercover agents to find errant delis.
Okay. or those that shop through B&H Supply. That's if you're into photography or video or any of
but that's the word.
Greatest store in the world.
Uniform. I mean, it's everybody's supposed to look alike,
right?
Like in the army, and of course they fell down there. But anyway, so the guy got his job back, and I guess he's happy with his beard.
It is interesting. So I didn't catch what you were saying initially, but you're saying look at the word a uniform, where that comes from. Uniform. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, the rules and regulations. I mean, if you had a situation at your radio station where, for one reason or another, you weren't supposed to have a beard, well, then why did you become a talk show host with your beard?
How about the Woody Allen stuff? His name being thrown around with the sex scandals. What's the word in New York? He's a New Yorker.
Yeah, well, you got people here who will say, the guy's a real sleaze because of the situation with his stepdaughter that happened a number of years ago, and now he's being accused of other stuff. So it's sort of like get Woody kind of thing, and it's just it's a shame that he's back in the news again, but he ought to keep his hands to himself.
Yeah. And one more I want you to leave us with, and that is that there's, and this I'm surprised hasn't come along sooner, but there is now a vehicle that is driving through Brooklyn and it is a shower. It's a mobile shower for people or homeless people to take a shower.
Yeah, well, rather than invite them into shelters, someone came up with this idea, which I guess is, I don't know if for use of a better word, is a cute idea. So the bus has been turned into a bath house. I guess it's a bath bus. And they're traveling around the streets of New York trying to find people who need showers. I could get them plenty that are in my cab from time to time.
I'm going to tell you, you think about that, what you get in a taxi cab.
Yeah, but, it's a typical thing that politicians and do-gooders would make a big deal out of something. If people need to have that particular service or anything, well, then take them to a shelter and kind of do it. But to have a bus traveling on the streets of New York, I hope at least they pull down the shades when they're using it.
And if there's anything like anything else, they'll be utilizing it for some sort of a disgusting manner. I'm just saying. I'm not sure I'd want to use that shower. All right, Peter, best tour in New York City. It's Gabby.com. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peter Franklin. We'll break at WIBX.